I married into a wealthy family as a substitute bride for their troubled son. Just when the real fiancé came back, I found out I was pregnant. She gave me a stack of cash and told me to get lost. So I went back to my hometown and scheduled an abortion. But then, the now brooding heir pinned me against a door. "Sweetheart, who said you could run?" he murmured. "Now, handcuffs or rope? You pick." The opulent ballroom was buzzing with chatter and clinking glasses. I'd only slipped away to the restroom for a minute. When I came back, Lucas was nowhere to be found. I searched high and low, running all over the mansion. Finally, I found him in a dusty old lounge. He was locked in a cabinet, his clothes a mess and stained with alcohol. It was obvious he'd been bullied again. Everyone in our city knew that Lucas Liu wasn't all there. He had issues. Every time he attended one of these parties, people would find ways to pick on him, sometimes subtly, sometimes not. "Lucas, are you okay? Honey, hold me." His eyes were red with frustration. I took him home to get him changed. That's when I saw he'd hit the back of his head. The doctor said it was nothing serious. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something about him was different. A few days later, after his injury had healed, I noticed his eyes seemed clearer than before. I was so busy taking care of him that I didn't think much of it. That night, instead of hugging his teddy bear to sleep, he clung to me. "Honey, there's going to be a thunderstorm. I'm scared. Hold me while I sleep." I lay down next to him. He just watched me quietly. His gaze was so intense that for a moment, I had the dizzying thought that he was back to normal. I couldn't sleep with him staring at me like that. I tried to turn my back to him. He wouldn't let me. Lucas wrapped his arm around my waist, pulling me closer. "You don't want to look at me?" "No, it's not that. You said you wanted to sleep. Why are you staring at me? Honey, do you like me?" He'd never asked me anything like that before. I tried to soothe him. "Of course, I like you. This poor, simple boy." He probably didn't even know what like really meant. Lucas's fingers tightened around me. "Honey, I looked it up. Besides telling me bedtime stories, there are other things married couples are supposed to do." I looked up at him, confused. A warm kiss landed on my lips. It started as a tentative, delicate exploration. Then, his movements became passionate and demanding. I tried to push him away. Lucas rolled over, pinning me beneath him. My face flushed, and I had no idea what to do. He brought his handsome face close to mine, a picture of innocence. "Sweetheart, can you teach me? Please? Your face is so red. What am I supposed to do? Is this right?" His fingers were so long. My eyelashes fluttered. I couldn't escape his strength. My mind went blank. I didn't even realize he'd never called me sweetheart before. 6 months ago, I was just a housekeeper for the Johnston family. Nina was the daughter of the house, the one engaged to the Booth family by arrangement. She didn't want to marry a man who wasn't all there. So, Nina paid me a large sum of money to take her place at the wedding. She took off to travel the world, leaving me to face the music alone. Luckily, the head of the Booth family didn't say a word. Lucas's uncle was the current CEO of the L Corporation. He didn't care who the bride was, as long as it didn't affect the company's bottom line. At first, Lucas kept his distance from me and wouldn't talk. But my major in college was early childhood education. Coaxing people is my specialty. Before long, Lucas was clinging to me, begging me to play with him. He wanted me to tell him stories and tuck him in at night. One time, he was tossing and turning, unable to sleep. He took my hand and placed it on his body. "Honey, I'm so hot." I blushed and told him to stop messing around. Lucas looked at me with curiosity. "Why are you blushing? Honey, don't you have one too?" "I do not." "I don't believe you." He hugged me, trying to check. He had me blushing and breathless. I had no choice but to give him a basic lesson on the differences between men and women. He was still adorably clueless and clingy. "It's okay if you don't have one, honey. You can have all of mine." I told him to shut up. He leaned in for a kiss. After that, my tuck-in service gained a new responsibility. When I woke up, it was already noon. The moment I moved, my back and waist ached. Images from last night flooded my mind. My ears turned beet red instantly. Lucas never knew the specifics of how to do that. Who had been a bad influence on him? I went downstairs for a bite to eat. Strangely, he wasn't playing with his building blocks. Lucas was staring intently at a book in his hands. He wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses and looked just like one of those elite businessmen in a magazine, even more striking than the models. I frowned. Just as I was starting to think he was acting like a normal person, he turned to look at me, that same clingy, innocent smile on his face. "Honey, you're awake. I warmed up some milk for you." Why the sudden interest in books? "Uncle said you have to live and learn, and then put what you learn into practice." His childish manner reminded me of a straight-A student just starting elementary school. Lucas was always afraid of his uncle, but he always listened to him. I turned to eat my breakfast. He came over to sit with me, asking shamelessly, "Honey, are you feeling okay? Do you need me to put some ointment on you? Last night you were bleed." I quickly clamped my hand over his mouth. The maids were still in the room. What was he saying? "If you mention last night again, I'm going to ignore you." That was his biggest fear. He immediately hugged me, nuzzling my neck. Okay, I won't say anything. But you have to tell me if you're not feeling well." His whining voice tugged at my heart. He might be childish, but he always made me feel warm. In the afternoon, his uncle, Mr. Liu, was supposed to take him to the hospital for a checkup. It was a regular appointment. Lucas hated going to the hospital. I had to coax him for a long time before he would leave. He secretly kissed my cheek. "Honey, wait for me at home, okay? I'll be back really soon. Don't go anywhere." He said that every time he left the house. I smiled and nodded. As Lucas turned to leave, I saw a flash of coldness flicker in his eyes as he looked at Mr. Liu's car. Lucas seemed to have gotten even clingier than before. Often, before the bedtime story was even finished, he'd pounce on me. I suspected he'd been secretly watching certain kinds of movies. Why else would he have gotten so naughty? But whenever I asked, he'd just look at me with those wide, teary, innocent eyes. "Honey, you don't like it?" It wasn't that I didn't like it. It was just a bit exhausting. Maybe it was because of all the late nights. I'd been feeling sleepy and had no appetite for the past few days. Lately, there were rumors circulating that the Johnston family was in trouble. I hadn't had time to catch up on the gossip. Then, the real fiancé returned to the country and hunted me down. It happened right after I left the hospital. I thought my period was just irregular, but the doctor told me I was 2 months pregnant. I was holding a bottle of folic acid, walking in a daze. As I reached the hospital entrance, a black car pulled up and blocked my path. Nina knew my family wasn't well off and that my mother needed expensive, long-term medication. She used this to threaten me, telling me to leave the Booth family immediately or I'd never see my mother again. I looked at the woman in front of me, her face haggard and twisted with desperation. She was a far cry from the glamorous socialite she used to be. Her family's downfall must have pushed her to the edge. Lucas is a fool anyway. It doesn't matter who's with him. I'm doing you a favor by letting you leave. If you go now, I can still give you some money. You won't have to worry about your mom's medical bills anymore. She was forcing my hand while trying to sound righteous. To the rich and powerful, the lives of ordinary people are as disposable as weeds. I managed a small smile. I understand, Miss Johnston. I wasn't allowed to go back to the villa that day. I never even got to say goodbye to Lucas. They sent me away that very night. I took the money and made a trip back to my hometown. After visiting my mother, I went to the capital to look for a job. I had graduated from Capital University. I'd wanted to go to grad school, but my mother's health was poor, so I had to start working right away. Still, while I was working as a housekeeper for the Johnston family, I used my spare time to get my MBA. I was waiting for a bus downtown when I ran into Jake. He was my high school class president, a brilliant student who got into Capital University on a scholarship for his graduate studies. Grace? Long time no see. When did you get back to the capital? Just recently. He glanced at the resume in my hand and understood immediately. Want to grab a bite? I just got off work. Behind him was the office of a famous venture capital firm. Jake had studied finance and stayed in the capital after graduation. Over dinner, we caught up. When Jake found out I hadn't found a place to live yet, he mentioned the apartment next to his was available. The area was a great value. They were older buildings, so the rent was low, but it was close to the city center. I thanked him profusely. As we parted ways at the street corner, a news alert flashed on my phone. The Booth family heir is looking for his wife. $10 million reward. Did Nina run off again? I was in a hurry to cross the street and didn't read it closely. I didn't want to see any more news about Nina anyway. After moving into the apartment, Jake and I looked out for each other. He offered to help me find a job. But the finance industry wasn't my field. And I didn't want to owe him any more favors. Once I was settled, I went to the hospital to schedule an abortion. Since things were over with Lucas, it was better to make a clean break from the past. I rested a hand on my flat stomach. An image of his innocent smile flashed in my mind. He was so easy to please, and Nina had such a bubbly personality. They were probably a perfect match. I swallowed the lump of bitterness in my throat. I spent my days going to interviews. By the time I got home, it was already late. Lately, I hadn't been sleeping well. The summer nights were hot and stuffy. One day, I woke up to find the air conditioner set to a comfortable temperature. I clearly remembered setting it much lower before bed. I love the cold. I'd gotten a fever once because of it. Lucas had cried his eyes out, staying by my bedside, waiting anxiously for me to get better. A knock on the door pulled me from my thoughts. Jake was back from his morning run and had brought me breakfast. He wished me luck on my interview. I don't know if it was because I'd had a good night's sleep, but the interview went incredibly well. I got a job offer soon after. I was thrilled and went to the CBD to find Jake. He had helped me polish my resume and had been a huge help. I wanted to thank him by treating him to a meal. Jake smiled and congratulated me. How about we make hot pot at my place? I just got a new pot I haven't used. We can break it in. Sounds great. Jake and I went to the supermarket and bought a ton of groceries. He wouldn't let me carry a thing. When we got downstairs to our building, an old lady on the first floor teased Jake. Well now, found yourself a girlfriend? She's very pretty. Jake blushed. Not yet. It was a strange answer. I gave him a surprised look. But Jake changed the subject, asking me if I could handle spicy food. We went upstairs together, debating the differences between northern and southern dipping sauces. Suddenly, our conversation stopped. There was a man standing in front of my door. He was dressed in a sharp, tailored suit, exuding an air of excellence. The evening sun glinted off his gold-rimmed glasses. The clueless, innocent expression was gone. The Lucas standing there now had an intimidating presence. The cool, dark gaze behind his lenses swept over us. A faint, cold smile played on his lips. I wasn't aware my wife had a boyfriend. I froze. Jake looked at me, confused. You're married? Not exactly. I was just a substitute. My name wasn't on the marriage certificate. We tried to go upstairs, but Lucas blocked the hallway, refusing to budge. Your boyfriend? Aren't you going to introduce us? Jake is an old classmate. It's not what you think. Oh. His cool gaze sized up Jake before turning back to me. It's been a while. Don't you have anything else to say to me? I have nothing to say to you. Lucas had his memory back. That made us complete strangers. The Booth family was the richest in our city. I couldn't afford to get involved with them, nor did I want to. Jake sensed the tension and spoke politely. If you two know each other, maybe you'd like to join us for dinner? If not, could you please let us pass? The emphasis was clearly on the second half of his sentence. Most people would have been embarrassed and left. But Lucas just smiled faintly. Sure, I'll join you. Jake's face stiffened. I frowned. Lucas was always a picky eater. What was he staying for? Jake and I were in the kitchen prepping the food. He snuck a glance at my ring finger. If you're not married, why does he call you his wife? Is he some kind of clingy ex? It was too complicated to explain. I just nodded vaguely. During dinner, Lucas barely touched his chopsticks. He was very particular about his food. He wouldn't eat anything that wasn't fresh or didn't have the right texture. But his manners were impeccable, and he didn't show any of his distaste. Jake cooked some mantis shrimp and put them on my plate. Grace, let me peel that for you. These shells are sharp. Lucas stopped him. No need. I'll take care of my wife. Jake frowned. Mr. Liu, you two aren't legally married. Since you've broken up, you should accept that and stop calling her wife all the time. Broken up? Lucas glanced at me. I met his gaze calmly. To be precise, we can't even say we broke up. We were never really together. It was more like we were temporary roommates for a while. Being a paid substitute bride was too embarrassing to admit. I had to rephrase it. Hearing this, Lucas's face darkened. So in your eyes, we were nothing? No wonder you left without a word. His voice was steady, but it carried a chill. His long, slender fingers peeled a mantis shrimp and placed it in my bowl. I ate without tasting anything. My appetite was probably off because of the pregnancy. Seeing that I hadn't eaten much, Jake mixed a bowl of northern-style sauce for me to try. This is delicious, I said. I rarely ate sesame paste. If you like it, I'll make you some Northeast Chinese cuisine next time. Jake's mother was from the Northeast and was a fantastic cook. He had learned a lot from her. I smiled and nodded. Beside me, the man with the dark eyes couldn't get a word in. What do you like to eat? Anything you don't eat? Jake and I started discussing different Northeastern dishes. We were chatting happily when Lucas tried to put some food on my plate and burned himself on the edge of the hot pot. He let out a small gasp, and his chopsticks clattered onto the table. Are you okay? I instinctively looked over, took his hand, and blew on it. Back when he was simple-minded, he would cry and come running to me for comfort if he so much as pinched his finger in a door. I looked at the red mark on the back of his hand, and at the Patek Philippe on his wrist. That watch was probably worth more than my life. My eyes met his deep gaze, and reality came crashing back. You should run it under some cold water. I went back to my meal as if nothing had happened. The light in Lucas's eyes died, and his expression grew even darker. After dinner, it was getting late. As I left Jake's apartment, he reminded me to knock on his door anytime if I needed anything. I scoffed internally. Lucas and I were from two different worlds. I had nothing. What could he possibly do to me? A minute later, I ate my words. I said a detached goodbye to Lucas, telling him not to look for me again. I opened my apartment door. Just as I was about to close it, a long, strong hand blocked the frame. I stopped instinctively. Lucas squeezed in, expressionless, and shut the door behind him. Did you run all this way just to find him? What's it to you? I tried to push him out. He took a step forward, pinning me in the entryway. His tall frame was incredibly intimidating. His handsome face drew closer, and with those gold-rimmed glasses, he had the air of a sophisticated, self-restrained gentleman. The contrast between this Lucas and the one I knew was jarring. My heart couldn't help but speed up. What do you mean, what's it to you? Do you have any idea how long I've been looking for you? Honey? He sounded like he was grinding his teeth. He was so close I could see the bloodshot veins in his eyes, as if he hadn't slept in a long time. I'm not your wife. You're that desperate to cut ties with me? Taking care of you before was just a job. I took Nina's money. Now she's back, and everything should go back to the way it was. I didn't dare get any closer to Lucas. If Nina had another breakdown, I was afraid she'd hurt my mom. Lucas let out a cold, bitter laugh. Just a job. Grace, was everything you did for me before fake? A sharp pain tore through my heart, but I lifted my chin and nodded. His eyes darkened like a black lake, a chill rising from their depths. Is that so? I don't believe you. Lucas bent down and bit my lip. I tried to dodge, but he caught the back of my head. Lucas held me tight, his kiss fierce and punishing. He seemed desperate to prove something. Just as I was about to run out of air, he let me go. His hot kisses trailed down my neck. He knew my ears were my weak spot. Lucas's hand rested on the small of my back, poised to explore. My mind went fuzzy. But my stomach reacted first. The greasy food from dinner made my morning sickness worse. I pushed him away, covering my mouth. He reached for me again. I took a step back. Don't touch me. I feel sick. Any more of this and I was going to throw up all over him. Lucas's face turned black. What, you've got someone new, so you can't even stand my touch? My heart pounded. If he found out I was pregnant, things would get even more complicated. I gritted my teeth and decided to go along with it. That's right. I'm in love with someone else. So please, Mr. Liu, have some self-respect. Instantly, the silence in the room was terrifying. The chill in Lucas's eyes froze into frost. He bit his lip. Who do you love? You don't need to know. The words stabbed him, and his pupils constricted. He took a deep breath to calm himself. I went to the kitchen and poured a glass of milk. After drinking it, my stomach felt a little better. When I turned around, he was still standing there by the door in a daze. Mr. Liu, if there's nothing else, please leave. I need to rest. He stared at me, his red-rimmed eyes filled with defiance. Grace, why do you have to love someone else? We spent so much time together, don't you have any feelings for me at all? I'm not slow anymore. I can take care of myself, and I can take care of you. I'll be twice as good to you, I won't let anyone bully you. Can't you just give me another look? I clutched the glass in my hand. There were so many times when I felt helpless and alone, when I wished someone would say those exact words to me. Now, my heart felt like a small boat on the water, swaying uncertainly. A ringing phone shattered the atmosphere. Lucas answered it. It seemed to be something urgent. His brow furrowed. After hanging up, he looked at me with difficulty. Something came up at the office, I have to go back. I'll come find you again. Wait for me. I didn't answer. Among adults, wait for me is just a pleasantry, not a promise. Lucas left in a hurry. The room was empty again. I touched my belly, where the little bean was still unformed, and my heart felt just as empty. My plan had been to start my new job next month, which would give me time to have the procedure this month. But the company was short-staffed and called, asking me to start immediately. I didn't want to miss an opportunity with a Fortune 500 company, so I had to postpone the procedure. After starting the job, I was busy getting to know my new colleagues and learning the ropes. Thankfully, I'm a quick learner and soon got used to the fast pace of the company. During work, the office was buzzing with gossip about the Booth family. They said that after Lucas got his memory back, he returned to the company to reclaim his authority. But his uncle, Lu Ting, wouldn't allow it. The two were probably locked in a life or death struggle. And the car accident 3 years ago that left Lucas mentally impaired was also very suspicious. Everyone suspected his uncle was behind it, but there was no proof. All right, the affairs of the rich are beyond us. Besides, young Mr. Liu has the Johnston family support. What's he got to worry about? Exactly. I heard Ms. Johnston is already pregnant. A union between two powerful families, it's a done deal. I saw some paparazzi photos of them. They look really good together. A match made in heaven. I'm so jealous. I stared at the contract in my hands, but the words wouldn't register. Nina was pregnant too. Just a moment ago, I'd felt a flicker of worry for Lucas. Now, all that was left was a sour, bitter taste. It made sense. Nina was the fiancée designated by the Booth family in the first place. They must have known each other before. It was only natural that they'd have feelings for each other now, that she'd support her husband and raise their children. I drank a glass of honey water, but it couldn't wash away the bitterness in my throat. For the next month, I didn't see Lucas again. His promise to come find me was, as I expected, just words. Besides, he was a fixture in the gossip columns now. His every move in the power struggle with his uncle was being watched. The hospital called to remind me about my appointment. I looked at the calendar and decided to schedule it for next Sunday. This week was my birthday. Jake said he wanted to celebrate with me and make me that Northeastern dinner he'd promised. On the day, Jake came to pick me up from work. My colleagues saw him and thought he was my boyfriend. I quickly shook my head. On the way home, Jake told me he'd bought the freshest ingredients. He spent 2 hours in the kitchen and cooked up a feast. As I was washing my hands to get ready to eat, I received a text from an unknown number. It was an intimate photo of Nina nestled in Lucas's arms. They were on a messy bed. Even an idiot could tell what had happened. Grace, I know Lucas has been to see you. You know what imprinting is, right? He's like a child who's just left his family, he's just not used to you being gone. Lucas is only looking for you because he's not done playing. I can tolerate it, but you'd better not get any ideas. Otherwise, what I said before still stands. How is your mother's health? Say hello to her for me, won't you? The blatant threat made my fingers tremble with rage. I stared at the picture, a tight, stabbing pain in my chest. Of course. You can't trust a word men say. Lucas said he wanted me to wait for him, but it was all just a game. These powerful people. Human life meant nothing to them, let alone something as trivial as feelings. There was a knock on the bathroom door. Jake was calling me to dinner. I snapped back to reality and wiped the tears from my eyes. Jake's cooking was delicious, but I had no appetite. The text message kept replaying in my mind. After dinner, he took a small cake out of the fridge. I hadn't celebrated my birthday in a long time. With my mother's poor health and being alone in the capital for my studies, I was too busy trying to make money to even think about birthdays. I made a wish. A cliché one. I wished to get rich quick, to escape this situation where I was at everyone else's mercy. I blew out the candles. Just as I was about to cut the cake, Jake gave me a smartwatch. He scratched his head, embarrassed. It's not anything expensive. I heard you mention feeling nauseous and sick to your stomach, so I got this. It can remind you to take your medicine and also monitor your health stats. Thank you. I hadn't expected him to be so thoughtful. I made a mental note of his kindness, planning to get him a proper gift in return after I got paid. After we ate, it grew dark. I was getting ready to leave. Jake called out to me hesitantly. Grace, if you ever feel lonely, you can always find someone to keep you company. If you don't mind, you can always lean on my shoulder. His gentle, subtle words were like a stream flowing over my heart. But they only flowed over it, they couldn't bring a dead tree back to life. I smiled at him. Thank you, but I'm used to being alone. I'm not afraid of loneliness. His eyes flickered. I wasn't sure if he understood my gentle rejection. My apartment was right across the hall. I pushed open the door to complete darkness. I had gotten used to the simple man who always waited for me to come home. Even now, my eyes would instinctively glance towards the sofa. There were no intricate, expensive Lego sets there. And the person who used to smile at me was gone. I shook myself out of it. Tomorrow was Saturday. I could sleep in. Maybe it was the pregnancy. I'd been so sleepy lately. In the middle of the night, I was woken by a knock on the door. At first, I thought I was dreaming. But a moment later, my phone rang. I answered it, still groggy. "Happy birthday, honey." The familiar, deep voice snapped me awake. "How did you?" "I'm at your door. I brought you a present. Go home. I told you, Nina is your wife. Stop coming here." His tone turned cold. "That stupid woman doesn't deserve to be my wife. Grace, you're the only wife I have. If you don't open this door, I'll wait out here all night. It's cold, but I'm not leaving until I see you." Lucas always meant what he said. I hung up and tried to ignore him. The night was silent. I could hear sneezing from outside my door. It was the middle of the night. I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Finally, I got up and opened the door. Hearing the lock turn, Lucas looked at me with hopeful eyes. I looked at the man outside my door, and my pupils shrank. All my sleepiness vanished in an instant. Lucas's clothes were covered in blood. His face was pale, but he stubbornly clutched a gift box in his hand. "What happened to you?" I frowned. He glanced at the red stains on his casual clothes and pursed his lips in frustration. "Did I scare you?" "I'm sorry, I was in a rush and didn't have time to change." As he spoke, red liquid was still dripping from his arm. A drop hit the floor with a soft pat. I quickly pulled him inside. I found the first aid kit and helped him stop the bleeding and bandage his arm. He had several cuts on his arm, but thankfully, they weren't deep. He didn't make a sound when I applied the iodine. Lucas stared at me intently, like a large dog that had found its owner. I felt his arm, it was burning up. I wasn't sure if he'd caught a cold in the rain, but he was feverish. After I finished bandaging him, I urged him to go to the hospital. He shook his head. "It's your birthday today. I was planning to come earlier." "I'm sorry." "It's fine." He handed me the gift box. I opened it. The divorce certificate inside made me freeze. Beside it, in a velvet box, was a ring. "I owed you a ring. I'm making it up to you now. I've already divorced Nina." I was a bit surprised. Weren't the Liu and Johnston families supposed to be business allies? Lucas was in the middle of a power struggle. Was getting a divorce a good idea? "How did you get hurt?" That crazy woman wasn't happy about the divorce leaving her with nothing. She came looking for trouble and tried to drug me. I was getting disoriented, so I had to hurt myself to stay clear-headed while the bodyguards threw her out. Lucas looked at me nervously. "Did she contact you?" "The pictures she took are fake. If she sends them to the media, don't believe any of it." "Isn't she pregnant?" "You still divorced her?" "No. I never even touched her. That was a fake rumor she spread." It all clicked. Nina had gone to great lengths to secure her position as Mr. Liu. So the photo from today had been doctored. The bitter feeling in my heart faded significantly. I looked at the ring in the box but didn't take it. "Mr. Liu, this is too valuable. Please take it back." "You don't like it?" He lowered his eyes. "I can give you the wedding I owe you. Can't you give me another chance?" He sounded so sincere. My heart stirred. But Nina's words kept echoing in my ears. Lucas was just not used to me being gone. He just wasn't done playing. A man like him, now that he was normal, would have women lining up to be with him. Why would the great Mr. Liu be fixated on someone as ordinary as me? I snapped back to the present and changed the subject. It's getting late. You should go home and get some rest. I tried to hand the box back to him and stood up to show him out. Suddenly, Lucas pulled me into a tight hug. He rested his forehead against my side, his voice filled with desperation. Don't leave me. I tried to push him away, but his forehead was frighteningly hot. His face, which had been pale just moments ago, was now flushed with an unnatural red. Lucas, let go. Are you running a fever? It's not a fever. The drug hasn't worn off yet. His words were slurred as he nuzzled my waist. His hands, wrapped around me, were scorching. The heat was making my heart race. The more I struggled, the tighter he held on. No wonder he was bleeding so much from such shallow cuts. The drug had sped up his circulation. Lucas had been holding back for too long. Now, his mind clouded, he clung to me, kissing my fingers. Sweetheart, help me. His dark, confused eyes were moist. He was just like he used to be when he was simple-minded. Then let me go first, and I'll help you. He hesitated, his grip loosening slightly. The moment I was free, I immediately reached for my phone in my bag. I needed to call one of his people to come and get him. Thinking I was about to run, Lucas grabbed me with lightning speed. I lost my balance and fell onto the carpet. As I went down, he cushioned my fall with one arm, so I didn't get hurt at all. His dark eyes locked onto mine. Honey, don't run. You promised you'd help me. Don't lie to me. I'm not lying, but please let go of my hand. Just for a second. He wasn't falling for it again. Lucas's whole body was on fire. I could feel the heat through our thin clothes, and my ears burned with embarrassment. Damn it. Why was I the one suffering for a drug Nina gave him? Honey, I miss you so much. Just like before, hold me, touch me, please. His voice was pleading. Having lost his senses, Lucas had truly reverted to that innocent, simple state. He rubbed against me restlessly. His hot breath came closer. Kisses fell randomly. He pinned my hands above my head and gripped my waist with one hand. If this continued, things would spiral out of control. Worried about the baby, I quickly tried to soothe him. Lucas, stop biting. Do you want it to be like it was before? Yes. Then let me go, and I'll help you. Lucas looked at me, hesitating. A few seconds later, he guided my hand and placed it on him. I have no idea what kind of drug Nina gave him. Once wasn't enough. Lucas's clothes were a mess, and he insisted on taking a shower. Then he pulled me into the bathroom for another round. When we finally got out of the bathroom, Lucas's body wasn't as hot anymore. My legs felt a bit weak. He carried me back to bed, nuzzling my face with a satisfied look. Sweetheart, if you're tired, you can go to sleep. I can handle this myself. I glared at him, kicking at him weakly. Lucas, don't think I don't know the drug has worn off. If you try anything else, you can get out. He chuckled softly. Lucas reached up and smoothed my messy hair. So you're not calling me Mr. Loop anymore? Okay, I won't touch you. Go to sleep. I was too exhausted. I closed my eyes and it felt like seconds before it was morning. There was a faint knocking at the door. The person beside me got up. I was woken up by the sound of voices. I groggily walked to the bedroom door. Lucas, wearing nothing but a towel, was in a standoff with Jake at the front door. Jake saw his state of dress and his internal alarms went off. I made breakfast for Grace. Where is she? She's not awake yet. My wife doesn't need anyone else to take care of her, but thanks for the thought. Lucas was practically gloating. He even casually tilted his head to show off the scratch marks on his neck. Jake clenched his fists, his tone sharp. Until you're legally married, you should stop calling her that. You'll ruin Grace's reputation. She'll say yes eventually. Is that so? She's never mentioned you to me. I guess you're not that important. Anyway, since you're not officially together, I still have a chance. Lucas's eyes darkened. I walked over and said hi to Jake. I glanced at Lucas's impressive abs, which still had red marks from my nails. I quickly looked away. There was no way I could explain this. Jake acted as if he saw nothing and handed me the breakfast he'd made. The sandwich you like, and a freshly brewed coffee. I have to go to the office to work overtime, but I'll come see you tonight. Okay, thanks. I'd actually told him many times he didn't have to bother making me breakfast, but he always insisted it was no trouble. I'd already turned him down last night. Did he not get the hint? I closed the door and stood face to face with a scowling Lucas. The breakfast in my hands felt like a hot potato. I gave a weak smile. Do you want some? Not hungry. He snorted. It's just breakfast. I can learn to make it too. I tried to kick Lucas out, but he used his injury as an excuse to shamelessly move in. The cut on his left hand had already stopped bleeding, but he was constantly complaining that it hurt and making me blow on it. I rolled my eyes. He didn't seem so delicate that night he trapped me in the bathroom. During the day, I went to work, and Lucas stayed home alone. He was busier than I was, his phone constantly ringing. But every day when I came home, there was a home-cooked meal on the table. At first, the presentation wasn't great, but he was a fast learner. Now, the soups he made were so good I couldn't get enough. One day, I got home late. He was just about to go out and look for me. Why are you so late? You didn't answer your phone. There was a problem with a project at work. They pulled us all into a meeting. The real estate project didn't have anything to do with me originally, but the person in charge messed up, and the company was looking for someone to take over. As a newbie, I was eager for a chance to prove myself, so I volunteered. After dinner, I sat by the coffee table, researching. Lucas, finished with his emails, came over and glanced at my screen. Ank Real Estate. You know them? I had some dealings with them when I was working on a smart systems project. He pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses. After reviewing the documents, he pointed out some common pitfalls. The company I worked for was in advertising. If I could handle this project well, my manager would be really impressed. Lucas asked me about my plan of action and then offered a few suggestions. The things he brought up were angles I had never considered. It really showed that people who moved in business circles knew more. I stared at Lucas's profile, that familiar flutter starting in my chest again. I had to admit, this professional, elite version of him was incredibly captivating. I'm done. Anything you want to add? He turned his head, his eyes meeting mine unexpectedly. I quickly looked down. Lucas's lips curved into a smile. If you want to look, just look. Why are you hiding? I wasn't. He acted as if he'd caught me red-handed. He tilted my chin up. I've helped you break down so much. Aren't you going to thank me? Before I could answer, he leaned in. His warm breath grew closer. My heart sped up. I stared into his deep, dark eyes. They were so serious, as if I were the only person in the world. Just as our lips were about to touch, I suddenly felt sick. I quickly pushed him away and ran to the bathroom, where I dry heaved a few times. I had originally scheduled the abortion, but Lucas's appearance had completely thrown my plans off. I had no choice but to cancel the appointment for now. A hand offered me a tissue. I looked up and saw a flicker of confusion in his eyes. What's wrong? I probably just caught a chill last night. Feeling a bit nauseous. I lied, trying to act calm. Lucas's eyes glinted, and I couldn't tell what he was thinking. A few seconds later, he patted my back. Feeling better? I'll go get you some hot water. After that day, the food on the table became much lighter. The soups he made were all designed to be easy on the stomach. And I became even more cautious, terrified he would find out something was wrong. With Lucas's guidance, I successfully completed the project. My manager treated our team to dinner to celebrate. I sent Lucas a text, thanking him. Lucas, when are you coming home? Me, around 10, I think. Lucas, okay, come back early. I have something to tell you. He was being so mysterious. I went to the dinner with my colleagues. I couldn't drink, so I ordered an orange juice. The manager kept praising my work, saying he wanted me on the next project too. I nodded, knowing I had achieved my goal. A few more projects like this, and my year-end bonus would be secure. After dinner, everyone was tipsy. I said my goodbyes and headed for the subway station. As I was walking down a deserted street, I felt like someone was following me. I turned around and was startled to see Nina's gaunt face. She was watching me with dark, sunken eyes. Long time no see, Grace. What are you doing here? What do you think? You must be so proud of yourself right now, huh? It's all because you seduced Lucas that he insisted on divorcing me. It has nothing to do with me. I don't believe you. Nina's face twisted in rage. You must have been after the Mr. Lou title, whispering things in his ear. You're just a housekeeper, what makes you think you're good enough for Lucas? You're so clueless. Grace, since you insisted on taking what's mine, I'm not going to let you have an easy time either. I have nothing left now. I can't lose my family. If you come with me, the Johnston family company can still be saved. She took a step forward. The madness in her eyes scared me. I backed away. Nina, what are you doing? I'm calling the police. Shut up. If you want your mother to be safe, don't fight back. She menacingly pulled out a spray can and aimed it at me. The mist had a strange smell. I quickly covered my mouth and nose, but I still inhaled some of it. In an instant, my consciousness began to blur. Just as I was about to collapse, someone stepped in front of me. Mr. Lou, be careful. A familiar voice. I looked closely and saw it was Alex, Lucas's personal assistant. Lucas must have sent him to protect me secretly. Alex helped me into a car and called for other bodyguards. But Nina followed us in her car. She was like a cornered animal, determined to kidnap me to threaten Lucas. Alex sped up. I was slumped in the back seat, drifting in and out of consciousness. The sounds and sights around me faded away. I instinctively clutched my stomach. Suddenly, our car was hit hard. Alex gripped the steering wheel. To avoid hitting a large truck ahead, he swerved right, smashing through the guardrail and crashing into a large tree on the median. My head slammed against the back of the seat. The next second, I lost consciousness completely. I felt like I was floating on water. I couldn't see anything around me. A small child was walking ahead. He turned and smiled at me, beckoning me to follow. Though I couldn't see his face clearly, I knew instinctively that he was my baby. As I walked, the fog began to lift. A blinding light filled my vision. I suddenly woke up with a start. I opened my eyes to the white ceiling of a hospital room, the lights glaring. You're awake? Are you uncomfortable anywhere? Lucas looked at me anxiously. He was unshaven, with dark circles under his eyes, looking like he'd been watching over me for a long time. As reality set in, I immediately grabbed his hand. Where's Nina? Did she go after my mom? Can you help me? Don't worry, I've already sent people to protect your mother. He hugged me, patting my back to calm me down. After Nina hit your car, someone saw it. She was afraid of getting caught by the police, so she fled and is in hiding. What about your assistant? Is he okay? His arm is injured. He's recovering in the next room. As long as it wasn't serious. My clenched heart finally relaxed. Lucas had someone bring some light dishes and porridge. He said I'd been unconscious for a day and a night. If I hadn't woken up soon, he was about to call the doctor. After eating, I took out my phone to request time off from work. My manager said, just rest up. Your husband already told me everything. Husband? I frowned at Lucas, only to find his eyes were dark and tinged with a hidden displeasure. What's wrong? Why are you staring at me? What do you think? Lucas sat on the sofa, legs crossed, one hand tapping lightly on his knee. He looked like he was waiting for me to confess something. I paused, then decided to play dumb. What else is there to say? I'm a little tired. Let me be alone for a while. I tried to hide under the covers and pretend to sleep. Lucas yanked the blanket away, annoyed, forcing me to meet his gaze. Grace, you're still not going to tell me? If the doctor hadn't told me you were 3 months pregnant, were you planning on hiding it from me forever? And what about the record of your scheduled abortion? What, are you that afraid I'll never leave you alone? Lucas was both furious and anxious. When the doctor had scolded him for not protecting his wife and child, his mind had gone blank. He hadn't even known he was going to be a father. What was even more infuriating was that he had almost never found out. Thankfully, the back seat wasn't badly damaged in the crash, and both she and the baby were fine now. I bit my lip, retorting stubbornly. So what if I was? Everything between us before was a mistake. You're normal now. Even without Nina, there would be some other debutante from a good family for you to marry. Why should I keep the baby? So he can grow up as an illegitimate child? I told you I would marry you. There's no need. There are no feelings between us. Then we'll build them. If you don't love me in a day, I'll stick by you for 10. If you don't love me in 10 days, I'll stick by you for 100, until you finally fall for me. A familiar obsessive look appeared in Lucas's eyes. Through his gold-rimmed glasses, his gloomy aura made him look like a refined villain. I stared at him, stunned. Lucas, you have everything. Why would you like someone like me? I was too ordinary, my background poor, even pathetic. If it weren't for the whole Nina incident, I would never have met Lucas in my entire life. Lucas lowered his gaze, resting his head on my shoulder. But the one thing I lack is your love. In that instant, my heart skipped a beat. It felt like something was sprouting. Grace, if you're not by my side, nothing feels meaningful anymore. The truth is, my mind cleared up a long time ago. I knew you weren't my real wife, but I just loved being with you. Seeing you smile made me happy. After his mind went, everyone avoided him. They all sucked up to his uncle and treated him like dirt. Only one person didn't mind his slowness and even played hide and seek with him for hours. So, it was obvious who his heart would choose. I'm not slow anymore. I have the ability to protect you and be good to you. I can give you anything you want. Grace, just consider me. I won't let you down. I looked into his sincere, devoted eyes. Something was growing wildly inside me. Turns out, a withered tree can bloom again in an instant. The answer was on the tip of my tongue. But right now, I was more concerned about something else. Lucas had been back to normal for a long time. No wonder he was always teasing me back then. I thought about all the intimate things he tricked me into doing while pretending to be simple-minded. My ears instantly flushed red. I punched him hard. Lucas, you were fine and you didn't tell me? You lied to me for so long, you're shameless. I was trying to get back at my uncle, to catch him off guard. If you're angry, keep hitting me. Hit me harder. Once you've let it all out, can you please stop avoiding me? He looked at me with pleading eyes, terrified that one day he'd look away and I'd be gone again. Seeing him acting like a puppy begging its owner to stay, my anger dissipated. I know. I won't avoid you anymore. So, can you like me a little? Can you keep the baby? He was starting to push his luck. His warm breath fell on me in a steady rhythm as he rested on my shoulder, tickling my neck. I pursed my lips and guided his hand to my lower abdomen. Yes. Lucas froze. He quickly looked up at me, so happy he seemed to be at a loss for words. Really? Did I hear that right? Which question was that yes for? Huh. Sweetheart, be clear, or I won't understand. He pestered me, asking again and again. He knew the answer perfectly well but wanted to hear me say it. I sighed, blushing as I whispered, I answered both. So? Say it. You already know. I want to hear it. He stared at me with expectant eyes. I leaned close to his ear. Lucas, I like you. It didn't matter if he was a fool or not. He had given me the warmth I always wanted. A passionate kiss landed on my lips. Lucas was incredibly excited, but he restrained himself, his movements gentle. Because I was pregnant. He became extremely careful. By the way, on the day of the kidnapping, you said you had something to tell me. What was it? I had set up a proposal at home. I was planning to surprise you. That's a shame. It's not. I'll just propose again. I won't skip a single step of the process. He said it with sincerity, kissing the back of my hand. The Johnston Family Company's capital chain had broken. Mr. Johnston had managed to raise some funds, but then Nina angered Lucas. Lucas reported the Johnston family for illegal fundraising and also exposed their years of bribing officials. The Johnston family was investigated and their situation became precarious. They didn't last a month. The Johnston Family Company was forced to declare bankruptcy. The police found Nina in another province. She refused to plead guilty, muttering resentfully about the Booth family and me. On the day she was convicted, Lucas made a call to have the prison staff give her a special welcome. While I was recovering in the hospital, Lucas often cooked for me himself. While taking care of me, he also managed to regain control of the Booth family's shares. Lu Ting had gone to great lengths to sideline Lucas, but he was a fool himself and had no idea how to run the company. After Lucas returned, he fixed numerous loopholes, and the company finally got back on track. On the day I was discharged, the week-long rain finally stopped. The weather was bright and clear. As I walked out of the hospital, I ran into Jake, who had rushed over. He was holding a bouquet of flowers to congratulate me on my discharge. But I was already holding a bouquet of sunflowers from Lucas. Jake looked at our intertwined fingers and smiled helplessly. Looks like I'm late. It sounded like he was talking about today, but also like he was talking about something else. Lucas, looking quite pleased with himself, deliberately asked, I'm planning to take my wife for hot pot. Want to join? How the tables have turned. The situation was now the complete reverse of what Jake had said to him before. No, thanks. Jake smiled and offered me the flowers anyway. As he got closer, I don't know if it was intentional, but he said loudly, Grace, before you sign that marriage license, if you have any second thoughts, you can always come find me. I just smiled. My fingers were squeezed tightly. Someone standing next to me was about to drown in his own jealousy. I won't give her a chance to have second thoughts. You, on the other hand, should keep your distance from my wife. Lucas hired a housekeeper and a nutritionist to manage my diet at home. Whenever he had free time, he would make soup for me himself. Lately, though, he seemed to have gotten into fitness. I told him we had to sleep in separate rooms since I was pregnant. He refused. Sometimes, when he couldn't sleep at night, he would go to the gym. Every morning when I woke up, he was already back from his run. Lucas's body was even more toned and fit than before. When he sat down for breakfast with me in his tight workout clothes, I could barely tear my eyes away from the bulge of his muscles. Damn it. Why did he have to be in such good shape? The women outside would be even more drawn to him now. That evening, Lucas came out of the bathroom wearing only a shirt. The shirt was damp, making it practically see-through. I pretended to be calm and looked away. He came closer and asked, Honey, I can't find my pajamas. Aren't they in the closet? Nope. I got up to look for them. He wrapped his arms around me. How about I just don't wear any tonight? Lucas's fair, well-proportioned fingers began to unbutton his shirt. My cheeks flushed as I watched, and I kicked at him. No pajamas? Who are you trying to seduce? Who do you think? He caught my ankle, stroking it a few times. His fingertips slid upwards. A tantalizing sensation shot through me. I tried to pull my leg back, but it was too late. Lucas, don't bite. He pretended not to hear. His hands held my waist. Honey, you used to teach me so patiently. Why won't you even look at me now? Am I not doing a good job? I bit my lip, completely unable to answer the scoundrel. Lucas laughed and pounced. Sweetheart, it's been 3 months. How about we try something new? Did I even have a chance to say no? He had already quietly captured my ankle. For the first time, I felt that the night was very, very long.